Just when you thought it couldn't get any better in NASCAR, the boys are back in Countryland with some brand new hits. This week in Nashville, experience Don't Go Driving Down Larson's Lane. Ring My Christopher Bell. And who could forget, Put Another Logano on the Fire. To order, don't call. Just watch Around the Track. And watch it right now. Anchors are standing by.
Forget Broadway, leave the honky-tonk behind because the real action in Nashville, that's going down at the Super Speedway. Welcome into another edition of Around the Track. Carla Metz, Gabe McDonald, and the Music City will probably not be the same after this.
Yeah, absolutely not. This track is unlike any other on the entire circuit. And speaking of being one of one, the man dominating the Truck Series, getting his shot this weekend with the GOATS team, 2311 driver Cory Heim and Garage Confidential. Plus, the Athletics' Jordan Bianchi is here with all the gossip in the garages ahead of this weekend's race.
Yes, but for now, let's head west just for a bit because, yes, it's called a Super Speedway, but it's only a 1.3-mile track. Don't expect major drafting on these cars like we do in Daytona or Talladega. The concrete in Nashville will challenge drivers to find speed because the grooves won't be in places that they're used to. If you think grip was an issue last week, well, wait for Sunday's race. Turns going to be slick and fast, and exiting out of those turns will bottleneck a bit, which means we're getting a close race. There won't be any room for error.
You know, asphalt, you feel like the tires kind of become one with the asphalt. It seems like it grips better. The concrete, the seams where it's all put together is a little bit rougher. You know, your car bounces a little bit more, so therefore you have less traction in your tires.
Well, the resin that they put down seems to really widen the groove. It's not a super grippy resin when we start out on track, so it takes a little bit of time to kind of get worked in. And the track seems to be really, I wouldn't say, yeah, it's just like slick and greasy to start, and then it seems to kind of grip up a little bit as the rubber goes down.
Well, let's go ahead and get to the track trending at the Nash. 4 years back, 4 different Cup winners. As for the Xfinity side, Justin Allgaier is the only past winner in the field. You can catch him on the CW this weekend. Believe it or not, this is the longest concrete oval on the entire circuit. And Kyle Larson, he really likes it here. He's the only driver to finish top 10 in all 4 races at Nashville. And of course, we're racing under the lights on Sunday, so advantage goes to his teammate, William Byron. He's got 4 night race wins, the most in the next-gen era. And for some odd reason, overtime is very much in play in Nashville. Last year, we went 31 laps past the scheduled distance, and we've had 3 overtime races this season: Daytona, Atlanta, and down there at the Lady in Black in Darlington. Well, it's time to bring in a man who knows his way around Nashville a little bit.
That's right. We've actually seen the Athletics' Jordan Bianchi around Vegas. I would say your dress and Nashville don't necessarily go hand in hand. Do you even own a cowboy hat?
Oh, I own a cowboy hat. I got the cowboy boots. I fit right in. I'm a man of the people.
What kind of the boots?
Oh, leather, black leather, you know, a little gray.
I could see, like,
the man got the drip.
Yeah.
He always got it. Always
Stylish. Ostrich.
Yeah, let's face the facts. Of course, this is not a super speedway, right? It's called that, but it's not. No repave here. It's old concrete, extremely rubbered in. It's a very flat concrete track, yet NASCAR still likes coming back here. So why do we keep coming back to this specific track?
Hot market. Nashville is very popular. NASCAR has really shown a resurgence there in the last few years, so they wanted to come back there, and that's why they race at Nashville Super Speedway. It's an interesting track. You mentioned concrete. Doesn't take a lot of rubber sometimes. You see different grooves change. This is one of the more challenging tracks on the circuit. We don't talk a lot about it, but as we saw last year with the overtimes, weird things happen here.
Yes.
And you mentioned the challenges too. The veterans seem to have the advantage when they come to Nashville, and why? You mentioned it. It's the concrete. 3 drivers in the Cup Series have won in the last 6 concrete races. Those being Joe Logano, Kyle Larson, and the king of concrete, Mr. Denny Hamlin, who's got 3 of those dubs. Jordan, all 3 of those guys already playoff bound, but how different is racing on concrete than asphalt tracks?
It is because of the tire wear. Sometimes the tire take a lot, sometimes it doesn't take a lot. And so there's no rubber in the racetrack. That's going to affect tire wear one way, and conversely, if there is rubber taking in the track, that's going to take it the other way. We also see a lot of green flag runs here. So fuel is an issue here. Last year, that decided this race. Joey Logano miraculously somehow extended his fuel.
Yeah, he barely made it.
It was the Hail Mary of Hail Marys, honestly. And he won this race, and nobody can figure out how. But that's what happens here at Nashville.
All right, we got to talk about Ross Chastain. There's probably still watermelon seeds in Nashville from his 2023 win. We know Charlotte certainly has that after his big Coca-Cola 600 win. Impressive win there, but obviously Chastain's hitting on something. Trackhouse seems to be hitting on something. 7 top 10 finishes with his win. Is he going to be a contender this weekend?
Absolutely. Ross is a contender most weeks. We don't look at it. You look at the stats, and you're like, wow, really, what's he doing this year? But if you looked at the deeper stats, he's doing a great job this year. Passes a lot of people on restarts, isn't qualifying well, but has a plus 12 average finishing position over qualifying. So he's racing really, really well. If he has speed in his race cars, he can do a lot of damage, and I mean that in a good way.
Yeah.
Look at what he did last week in the 600 when he won that race. So yeah, he's going to be a threat here. This is going to race somewhat like Charlotte. He's been fast at mile-and-a-half racetracks. He could very easily repeat his win from a couple years ago.
Real quick, what do you think a win like that in the 600 really did for his career? A guy that's been starving to get a win.
This is a major win, and he saw the reaction from this. This is a groundbreaking. This is a win you put on your resume when it's all said and done. This mattered to him. You could see it in the reaction.
Absolutely, a big win for him. And there's another team that is this close to getting another win. We talked about Trackhouse, but Spire Motorsports has really done nothing but exceeding expectations. You look at Carson Osavar in the 77, had a chance to win last week if his engine didn't blow up in the later laps at Charlotte. What are you hearing about Spire with what Carson's able to do, but also a veteran like Michael McDowell as well?
They've had a lot of speed in the race cars this year. They've got poles, they've got a lot of laps led. They've done all of these things. What they haven't done, though, is finish races. They haven't been able to go from green flag to checkered flag and get the corresponding finish. We saw that last week. Horsfar had an engine issue and ended up having a DNF. They've got to figure out how to finish these races. If they can do that, Spire has a really good chance with Michael McDowell and Carson Osavar of getting a W.
And Hocevar's been impressive really a lot this year. He's had a second place finish and obviously came close last week. Well, Jordan is going to stick around for a while, but one guy is coming back to the Cup Series for the first time in a while.
Just being able to have a Cup start there, I've only got 4 total, and being able to go back to a track that I already have 1 at, it's a pretty cool opportunity.
Cory Heim is fighting for points in the Truck Series while getting the chance to prove himself in the Cup Series for the second time this season. But can he hack it for Michael Jordan's team? Hear from him in Garage Confidential next.
And it wasn't the day Kyle Larson won it at all. 2 races, 2 wrecks, too much disappointment. But you know what they say? Third time's the charm. Will Larson attempt the double again? Hear from the Cup champ himself coming up. And it's almost tourney time for NASCAR, believe it or not, a new wrinkle this season.
That's right. However, some big name drivers are in danger of not making the sport's inaugural in-season tournament. We've got the bubble teams when Around the Track continues. We'll be right back.
Welcome to NASCAR Xfinity Series.
Start your engine!
NASCAR Xfinity Series, Saturday. Check your local listings.
Back here on Around the Track, Kyle Larson's second double attempt saw him take another step forward, but if you ask the driver about last week, he'll tell you he isn't happy. Crashing out of the Indy 500 after a small rain delay, only to crash out of the Coke 600 as well. It wasn't the 5's day. So will there be a third attempt? Doesn't exactly sound like it. We caught up with Larson after his double attempt ended in Charlotte last week.
I don't know. It's like, it's so fresh right now. I don't really have a good answer for you, but the doubles are just a tough undertaking. I think, the window of time is too tight. Just doing a double, I think, is just logistically too tough.
So Kyle's not going to have to worry about his spot in the upcoming in-season tournament, but these guys do. Only the top 32 guys get in, and look who's on the cut line. Daniel Suarez, Ty Dillon, and Brad Keselowski hanging on by a thread onto their tournament spots. The rookies are on the outside looking in. Shane Van Gisbergen and Riley Herbst are separated by a point, but are 19 and 20 points respectively behind Keselowski. Just last week, Brad was out, but that strong finish in Charlotte, that did put him back in. The inaugural in-season tournament starts in a few weeks at Atlanta. One-on-one matchups within the race will determine who moves on into the round of 16. Carla Metz and the Athletics' Jordan Bianchi back with you. Jordan, if the tournament started today, top-seeded William Byron would be pitted against Brad Keselowski. Other marquee matchups might include Seabell versus Suarez, Bubba versus Carson, Kyle Busch pitted against Cindric. With $1 million on the line, though, I mean, these drivers are probably going to be taking this one seriously.
They will be, and it's going to be interesting to see the matchups because Byron versus Keselowski, the tournament tournament starts at Atlanta. Atlanta is one of Brad's best tracks. He's really good at super speedways and drafting tracks. So that's a 32 versus 1 upset sitting right there. And we talk about bubble drivers. SVG, who's a great road course racer, is right now on the outside. But if he can find a way into the top 32, there are 2 road courses in the tournament. So instantly he becomes one of the favorites like that. So could be some potential upsets here brewing. It's going to be fun to watch.
It is going to be a lot of fun, Gabe.
Absolutely. Well, he's proven himself in the Truck Series, and now he has another shot at the Cup Series in the Music City this weekend. Cory Heim has been tabbed as the future at Michael Jordan's 2311 Racing, and he invited our Casey Funderburg to Airspeed to talk about his preparation for Nashville in this week's Garage Confidential.
Cory Heim wins at Texas Motor Speedway.
Cory Heim is getting his fair share of experience as 2311's first development driver. He's currently running a full-time truck schedule and coming off a win at Charlotte Motor Speedway. This week in Nashville, he'll compete in his second Cup race of the season.
Growing up in Atlanta, traveling up with my dad as a kid, it's awesome to fulfill kind of a life dream, to race there on Memorial Day weekend, let alone, win on Memorial Day weekend. So that was an awesome experience for me. I've been really close to winning at Charlotte several times, and to finally get that win was really cool for me.
Being in this position where you're full-time driving trucks, you're getting these Cup Series opportunities, what keeps you motivated and focused each week?
Yeah, I think it starts with the people that surround you. I'm very blessed to be able to have opportunities here at 2311 Racing, first of all, but also the full-time truck series, with Tricon Garage. But I think as a young developing driver, every opportunity counts. Any seat time, any track time you can get pays dividends.
Heim's team and the resources at 2311 are why he feels confident in going into such a busy weekend.
With me being a full-time truck driver, having access to things like this from a Cup side standpoint, it makes me go back to the trucks, and I feel like I'm a better version of myself. So, as I run more races every year, I feel like it just betters my relationship with them and makes me more prepared to be racing with them. A lot of people kind of go through a sharp transition of being full-time trucks or full-time Xfinity, going straight to the Cup Series. Since I'm more on a schedule to warm up to this team and kind of be more integrated with them before I make that jump, it definitely means a lot to me.
You have your second Cup Series this weekend. Your first one was at Kansas. So when you look back on your first Cup Series race this season, and then you're looking towards your second one coming up, what are some changes that you want to make? Maybe not just with the driving, but maybe you personally, maybe your mindset going into it.
Yeah, the mindset's a big one for sure. I was very nervous and stressed going into that first race. It was my first Cup race in almost a year, I think 11 months or so. But once again, going back to just having the correct people around me in my development, I had a lot of confidence within my team. It was just whether I had confidence in myself or not. In the preparation during the week, I felt prepared going into the race, but you always kind of have those doubts in your mind whether you can actually do it or not. It's the biggest concrete track that we race at, so there's some features on the concrete that separate itself from the asphalt side of things. As a driver, just having to be prepared for those different track conditions from usual. But once again, just being able to have a Cup start there. I've only got 4 total, and being able to go back to a track that I already have 1 at, it's a pretty cool opportunity.
In true Music City fashion, Eric Church's bar Chiefs will be sponsoring Heim's number 67 car for Sunday's Cup race.
So far this year, I've had some pretty bright colors. I've got Robin Hood there in the C-post, as you can see, and that was our sponsor earlier this year at Kansas City. It was a bright Robin neon green car. Now I've got our UNC baby blue style car here, so spotters certainly won't have a hard time seeing me with that thing, but I'm definitely excited to go.
Going into Nashville this weekend, you've raced there before, so you know what to expect. What are you hoping the outcome is from that on Sunday?
The main thing for me would be closing out the race. I feel like for the most part, we had a lot of pace and a lot of raw speed. Didn't qualify the best, so that'd be a start for me to qualify better. But I remember running almost in the top 10 at one point, but ended up getting wrecked at the end of the race. So I'm going to start by trying to close out the race and, just finish. That'd be the first goal, but also just kind of polishing up the little mistakes that I had last year that kind of put me in position to get wrecked at the end of the race. I can sit here and say that it wasn't my fault all day, but if I was running better, I wouldn't have been in that spot to begin with. So I feel like as a driver, there's always things to look back on to get better. So just kind of polishing and fine-tuning those things that I made little mistakes on last year.
All right, thanks again to Cory and the guys at 2311. Well, we all know the Xfinity Series on the CW is where the stars of tomorrow race, but if you want further proof, it's all in the numbers. We'll explain coming up next.
Backlash at the boss. How would you feel if your superior brought in competition for you at your job? For NASCAR's Cup Series, that almost happened before the teams caught wind of it. It's a messy situation, but luckily, the guy who broke the story is here to clear it up.
Well, we knew it was going to happen, but now it's official. Daniel Suarez is pulling double duty in 2 weeks when NASCAR drives into Mexico City. Suarez will pilot the number 9 for Junior Motorsports in the Xfinity Series race at the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez Road Course. A native of Monterrey, Mexico, NASCAR has built the race weekend heavily around Suarez, who does have multiple road course wins to his name. Not to mention, he's a past Xfinity Series champion as well. Jordan, how stoked are you, to go to Mexico and get down there for that race?
I'm excited. The atmosphere down there should be electric. I think it's really great that NASCAR is expanding internationally. First time they've done that since the 1950s. It's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting to see the response down there, and I think the race is going to be a good one.
You killed the name of the race.
I know. I couldn't believe that too. I said that to him like, is he going to be able to say that? He got like smooth, man.
Hey, man. You said it a few times, on various shows as well. So you just got to let it.
I don't even try. You're professional.
All right. Well, a bit of drama in the garages as of late. Jim France, the co-owner and CEO of NASCAR, was going to fund a car in the Cup Series.
Yeah, the teams were not happy about that, especially with a lawsuit going on between him and a few teams. Jordan, what do you know about this thing going on right now?
Yeah, I mean, Jim France was down the road with Spire Motorsports. He's going to basically fund a driver getting in a fourth car at Spire Motorsports to race at Sonoma in July. The teams had heard about this. They were not happy about it. It's a little bit of conflict of interest. Not unprecedented. We've seen this in IndyCar with Roger Penske and some other series. But in NASCAR, it's kind of a no-no. And a lot of the teams pushed back and were like, we don't like this. Once Jim France got wind of this and heard that a lot of the people were upset in the garage, he pulled back. The deal is done.
Does seem like a little bit of conflict.
A little bit.
That's a little bit.
All right, let's move on to the Xfinity Series. We're at the halfway point, and half of the playoff spots are already taken.
Yeah, it's not like the Cup Series where you have 16 playoff spots. Only 12 drivers advance to the dance, and those who aren't in are the young guns. Sam Mayer is no rookie, but he's in the third right now with points-wise, but no automatic ticket because he hasn't found victory lane this year. Look out for Carson Quapple. The Junior Motorsports standout is 8th in points and has nearly missed out in wins in multiple races. Then you have Nick Sanchez also in the mix. Taylor Gray has multiple poles and a good amount of points. Daniel Dye, he's been close as well. NASCAR's youth movement certainly alive and well. Who's really been standing out to you as guys that haven't been able to get the victory lane but are still running well in this?
You mentioned one of them, Carson Quapple, really fast this year, doesn't necessarily have the great finishes to go along with it. He's going to get a win, probably a couple wins. And then keep an eye on Nick Sanchez. He's a driver for a smaller team with Big Machine Racing, doesn't get a lot of hype and attention, been really fast, almost won Rockingham, and almost won last week at Charlotte as well.
And you also have Taylor Gray for Joe Gibbs Racing.
That's another one.
He and his crew chief, Radcliffe, they seem to be jiving well.
Again, a lot of speed, doesn't correlate to finishes, and they're going to hit on it, right? Jason Radcliffe is one of the most underrated crew chiefs in the garage. They're going to find speed, they're going to find performance, and when they do, look out.
And one of the up-and-coming stars, Connor Zilish, a guy who has a win, but still coming off an injury, hasn't had, some of the runs recently that he would like to have. How do you see him being able to bounce back as you get to the coming weeks?
I think he's going to be really strong. We're going to some road courses. That's his bread and butter. Expect him to start rolling off a couple wins, 2, 3 in a row here. He's going to be really something to watch come the playoffs. He's a championship contender.
Yeah, he needs to get that first oval win.
Yes,
I know
that's
he
true.
wants to check that off of his box. But who had the better burnout last week in Charlotte? That is the question that we're asking right now. William Byron in his Xfinity win or the Watermelon Man in the Crown Jewel event? Take the break to decide, because when we come back, we'll venture a guess into who's going to celebrate in Nashville. Our Victory Lane locks are next.
Well, going into the week, the usual suspect is on top of our DraftKings odds board. Kyle Larson will be out for revenge this weekend when he gets to Nashville. Going into the week, he's 4.5 to 1 to take the checkered flag. Denny Hamlin, 5.5 to 1 with Seabell right behind him at 6 to 1. 6.5 to 1 for William Byron and Ryan Blaney, who rounds out the top 5 at 8.5 to 1. Last week's winner, Ross Chastain, 11 to 1 to get it done, and he's won here before, so a dark horse or not, he is certainly a threat here in Nashville.
Well, you know what you get if you win any race at Nashville Superspeedway, a custom Gibson guitar. It's one of the coolest trophies in the sport, but who gets to take it home this weekend? Jordan, our Victory Lane locks, they start with you.
I like William Byron. He's dominated at times this year. Darlington, Charlotte led a lot of laps, but hasn't been able to close out. But other than the Daytona 500, I think he gets one number 2.
How motivated do you think he is, especially after how last week went?
Yeah.
They're hungry. They've let some wins get away this year. They want to get back in Victory Lane badly.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going with a dark horse this weekend. Give me a guy who also ran pretty well last week and been running well all season in the 19 car, Chase Briscoe. I like him to get it done in Nashville. It hasn't been too kind to him. His best finish at Nashville, 21st, but He was in the 14 then. He is now in better equipment in the 19 car. I think going in there, running top 5 this year, in 5 top 5s rather, including the last 2 in a row, getting it done. I like Chase Briscoe to get the guitar and maybe smash it in victory lane. Who knows? I think
Chase isn't a smasher. I don't think he'd be smashing.
I would not want to smash that guitar anyway. That would also be the first Toyota to win 3 Chevys and 1.
Denny Hamlin's won this year.
Nashville.
Yes, my fault.
Yes,
my apologies.
Yeah, all right, I'm going with a Chevy driver. It was the first guy to win at Nashville in their return in 2021. I'm going Kyle Larson. I feel like he's very disappointed with his results last week in the double. I think they're going to refocus and get back to their winning ways this weekend. I mean, listen, it's never a bad week to pick Kyle Larson.
No, you can pick Kyle Larson just about every week and feel confident. This track sets up really well. Nobody is better in intermediate tracks than the 5 team, so it's a great pick.
I was going to
guys that are very hungry too. I mean, you mentioned Byron and Larson. Just after last week, they want to get a win sooner than later, and those are 2 guys that's definitely getting.
Well, we've also said on this show too that Kyle Larson loves Nashville, and
true.
any driver that loves it goes into it with some of the best thoughts about the race. So yeah, I'm going Larson. Let's hope that happens and these guys lose. But that's going to do it for us on Around the Track this week. We'll get you ready for the race at Michigan next week. But until then, enjoy the race.